Orange Misfit, back to review, what was this series about again? Oh, right, the Pokemon cards. I took a quick break to do that musical side project, but I'm ready to pick things up. Let's see which 10 cards you have this time.
111, Grimer. This puddle of mud is alright. Nasty Goo is your attack. It's like every other 10 damage paralyzer, except it's colorless, which might come in handy. Its other attack is minimized. It's crummy, but at least I understood it's generally useless and made it cost 1 energy, unlike Squirtle's worthless defensive move that costs 2. Minimize is an atrocious stall move and only works if you're battling something with an embarrassingly weak attack like Seal. It would actually be incredibly useful if Nasty Goo poisoned instead of paralyzed, but that idea must not have been thought through. Because of that, Grimer's a better than average first stage, but in all honesty, it's pretty blah. 110, Poliwag. I recently found out that pink thing on its face is a mouth, not a nose, so that's had me reeling. As for the card, this goober can potentially pack a punch. Instead of simply doing 10 damage for 1 energy, Poliwag can triple that output and do 30 for 3, which doesn't sound like much, but when you consider the investment in its evolutions that would appreciate the premeditated thought, you'll be glad you did. Focusing on Poliwag itself, it's not the greatest, but the fact that it at least has the ability to do more than 10 damage for a basic Pokemon is a good start. Its grass weakness is also somewhat unique for water, which is both good or bad depending on how you look at it. If you're running an all-water deck, Poliwag and its line should definitely be considered because of it. Unfortunately, its low HP might prevent you from getting those 3 energies attached, but regardless, it's still an okay choice. 109, Ammonite. When you realize Ammonite and Kabuto are actually second stages, it makes them all the more disappointing. Anyway, Ammonite wouldn't even be good by basic Pokemon standards. It's Poliwag, but with a Pokemon power. A 10 base water gun attack isn't too horrible, but for second stage, it's embarrassingly weak, especially compared to the fact it takes the same amount of effort to play something like Vaporeon. It also has half of Vaporeon's HP, meaning it'd be absurd to use Ammonite as any kind of threat. Its one saving grace is its Pokemon power is neat, but generally worthless as you can usually predict what your opponent is going to set up based on their defending Pokemon and bench. Seeing their hand and being able to do something to prevent their strategies are two entirely different things, and while there are some trainer cards that work well with its Pokemon power, it's not enough to make it a worthwhile Pokemon. 108, Cubone. Cubone isn't great at attacking or defending. Its attack is pretty poor considering it only gets stronger when you get weaker. Although it has a maximum output of 40 damage, it means your chances of getting knocked out next turn will be far too high and risky. Snivel is a mediocre stall and only protects against damage, but at least it weakens the attack by 20 instead of only stopping an attack of 20 damage or less. Definitely has potential to work well with Rage though. What holds it back is Cubone's HP is too low and Rage is fairly expensive for an attack that won't get strong until it's too late. However, with the resistance and a collaborative moveset, it's a mildly effective stall in early game combat. 107, Farfetch'd. It's not far-fetched thinking that this duck would get poor treatment in the card game like it has in every video game it's appeared in. It has a low HP and one terrible and another mediocre move. At least has a fighting resistance, which is always valuable in this game, but the Thunder weakness means Electabuzz will cook this duck rather quickly. If you're lucky, Leak Slap might land the 30 damage for 1 energy, but sadly it can only be used once regardless of whether or not it's successful, which is ridiculously awful and unfair considering Nidoran Male, a basic first stage, can use Horn Hazard as much as possible. If you're desperate enough to load 3 energies on something that would be unlikely to last 3 turns, you get Pot Smash, which simply does 30 damage and that's it. One day, Farfetch'd will get the respect it deserves, but that day is not today. 106, Staryu. Well, it's better than Goldeen because it can do 20 damage for 1 energy, but it's worse than Machop because it has 10 less HP. At least it never has to worry about resistance damage, which one could make the argument that's superior, but that 10 less HP isn't enough in my opinion, making Staryu a pretty decent first stage because it's simple to use, reliable, and mildly powerful. 105, Pikachu. The most popular Pokemon is not one of the most popular cards. I'll be focusing on the jungle version for the ranking. In actuality, they're pretty much equal in power, but the jungle version has more HP, stronger versatility, and is less self-destructive. This Pikachu is an overall improvement from the base set version. Spark may seem a tad expensive for the 2 energy 20 damage output, but being able to attack and target a bench Pokemon can make a huge difference. If only Pikachu had more health so it could fire off more sparks, but it does have a strong likelihood to take down something with 30 HP, or at least make the next card your opponent brings out a little easier to defeat. Since not many Pokemon can target the bench, it does allow it to stand out, and it can at least do something to your opponent when facing cards with lightning resistance. While Pikachu is decent and somewhat unique, there are a lot of cards that are simply stronger. 104, Magnemite. There's a little bit of might here for this magnet. Thunder Wave is your standard 1 energy paralyzer, but Self-Destruct is where it gets interesting. Although it's going to knock you out and give your opponent a free turn on your next card, that 40 damage for 2 energies is pretty tempting. If you figure you're going to be biting the dust soon anyway, it's a good option to have, and a defender can allow you to survive it and maybe get another Self-Destruct in. Using this on an opponent's full bench and a low one for you can achieve powerful results, potentially dealing an extra 50 damage to the enemy team. Magnemite has a low HP, but at least has the option to do some serious damage before getting knocked out. 103, Charmander. Arguably the best starter card, the highest HP and most effective attack pool. Fun fact, it was also my first Pokemon card that I still have, after trading a Pikachu for it on the playground. Aside from that, it's one of the better first stage cards, just behind Machop and several others. That extra 10 HP might not seem like much, but allows it to take another hit from something like Hitmonchan's Jab. Scratch is the most basic move in the game, but the fact that it only takes 1 colorless energy makes it a little more viable and versatile in any deck. Ember's annoying in its energy discard, but as a last resort for a quick clean hit it can be an added bonus and pack a severe wallop for what it is. Although an energy discard can get frustrating, it means constant attention on Charmander, which limits its overall power. 102. Machop. Basically Hitmonchan's little brother. A simple card, yet one of the best basic first stage Pokemon. Low Kick is a cheap, yet cost-efficient attack. To deal 20 damage with 1 energy is an effective trade-off. The only problem is against the fighting resistance, he's useless as he has only 1 attack. Machop's 50 HP often allows him to survive an additional attack, which can always come in handy. His main flaw is that he's completely outclassed by Hitmonchan, which makes him overlooked. But aside from that, he's decent, and unlike Hitmonchan, he has the potential for stronger evolutions.
At some point, Farfetch'd will achieve legendary stats, but until then, we're left with this pretty sharp duck. Stop by next time when there's some more flying types to review. Remember to like and subscribe. See you then.